Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here today. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among many other things. Now, if you're new to the channel, we always like to cover basically technical analysis. That's really the only focus here, of course, for this channel is to help you get more of an informed decision so you can be a better, more effective, self-sufficient trader. Now, keep in mind, this is for educational purposes only. You always need to do your own research, but this was a recommendation from one of my community members, Marlon. So thank you so much, Marlon, for asking that I cover this here today. He's one of my patrons, and I've got a really good group of folks. Check that out, of course, in your own time. Link in the description below for that. I actually send out signals to my community members with all the trades that I take. I provide best practice, entry targets, sell targets, profit targets, everything you need to know to be more of an effective trader. And a lot of people are just more so on autopilot. They just like to sit there and learn vicariously while making extra bucks here and there, of course. So it's a really cool experience. Check that out in your own time. But at this point, I do want to thank you so much for joining me here. And why don't we go ahead and take a look at the charts again? We're going to go ahead and cover Raydium. I don't think I mentioned that. I apologize. Probably why you clicked on it in the first place. You either have a position, want to know if you should take profits. Is it going to break its all-time high? We're going to have some fun here today and check that out. All right, so let's go ahead and get to it without further ado. Let's go ahead and get right to the charts. Let's check it out. All right, folks, let's go and take a look here at Raydium. And just before we do, I always look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first. So if you're new to the channel, we look at Bitcoin to get a baseline on kind of what's going on in the market, since Bitcoin kind of controls the market for the most part. And we can identify if these coins are independent or kind of reliant on Bitcoin's price movement. Furthermore, we can also identify if, obviously, the coin's on the ERC20 blockchain, if there's any correlation there as well. Again, just two largest coins in the industry. We always need to know what they're doing at all times. That's my personal philosophy, and it's worked out very well for me over the years. So taking a look here at Bitcoin. Oh, just before we do, I like to preface in the fact that I use TradingView.com desktop application. Link in the description below for a free month if you're considering checking it out or trying it before you buy it. I highly recommend that just based on the fact that you need more than two indicators present at any given time. It's very tedious to keep adding and removing them. So I prefer the paid versions. If you want to consider trying that out yourself, see if you like it, check it out in your own time, of course. But again, there's a link in the description for a free month, see if you like it. Because everything I do here, even though I only have two indicators present per time frame, I cycle through 4 to 6 different time frames depending on the occasion. So I literally have, somewhere in the range of, 5 to 10 indicators that I need to use in a good analysis. And that's what we're going to cover here today. So be on the lookout for that. Again, if you're new, great. If not, saddle up. You've heard this before. All right. So looking at Bitcoin, let's see here. So on the one-day chart for Bitcoin, here's what we're doing. We're going to take a quick peek at the support and resistance levels. There's a support level here developing at 44,800. Okay, so I've noticed the price, even though it comes below there, it tends to close out at the end of the day. So there's a strong chance that's a newer support moving forward, kind of working itself in this channel. There's a larger channel, of course, between 44,000 and 46,800. That's kind of like the main channel that it's been working itself within, because we've had that as a previous channel before. Furthermore, 50,000 is a major resistance and 42,200 is a major support. That's, if we lose these two supports here, then it'll drop all the way down. If we break through all this, of course, 50,000 is the next major resistance. Keep in mind there's a golden cross forming here. I don't put a lot of weight in this personally, especially leading into a weekend, but nonetheless, it is still valid to recognize that on the simple moving average, we're seeing a golden cross. Now, I was asked also from my community members, the difference there and kind of what to look for, and I kind of explained that there's two different ones. There's SMA and EMA, right? I use the SMA on larger time frames, me personally, because it works better. I feel like it's more consistent. It's less reliant on recent price action. It just kind of gives us a good average. And I've noticed the best results there from that. That's why I use it SMA, but keep in mind the EMA also will give us different results. If we look at the EMA, obviously we're looking at a potential death cross in the near future here based on that sentiment. But again, I personally prefer SMA myself. So I don't know if that helps you, but the market's kind of split where there's some really big EMA considerations. There's really big SMA. I look at both depending on the occasion, but SMA I do favor that. So heads up on that. But that is kind of what we're looking at here again. These little channels here right now. The price is kind of working itself between 44.8 and 46,000 presently. We'll see what happens soon. Moving on to Ethereum. We've got similar channels here as well for Ethereum. 32.5, basically 3,250 is a support and a major resistance is 35,000. Sorry, 3,550. And we have this $300 channel here. Technically it's 350. If you look at the one-day chart, you can see that there's a support level created about 3,200 even. So I'd say the lowest point in which the price should go is 3,200. And the highest point at this time is 3,550. So it's kind of got its own little channel here. In fact, I'll just go ahead and change that because I do think that that is more of an established support level based on the fact that we have the 1-day chart confirming it. That's what you want to use more so than the 4-hour. Okay, so just keep that in mind. That's what's going on with Ethereum right now. Moving on to Raydium. So let's take a look at the 1-day chart here. Now, this is the first time I've ever looked at Raydium. It does appear to be a more recent ICO. I mean, comparatively, we're looking at February 21 of 2021, roughly, as one of the first days of trading. And yeah, it's done a lot of things. So it had a good run. Its average true range is somewhere in the range of, like, just say 7 upwards of about $15. And obviously, it took a crash, took a big nosedive on. Oh, look at this. This is interesting. It basically crashed on the 12th. That was the first initial sell-off. And keep this in mind. What was May 12th? That's the Elon candle. That's Saturday Night Live. That whole craziness with. Oh no, correction. Saturday Night Live was prior to that. This was when they said that Bitcoin is no longer acceptable at Tesla. That caused a reaction. What's interesting though is a lot of coins responded to that. A lot of them didn't. So some coins had a really big knee-jerk reaction, sold off heavily. The likelihood of that being the case for here, the reason why that probably happened is because the price was a bit on the overextended side, being a newer coin. A lot of newer coins had a tendency of selling off quicker there. Maybe just based on volume, that could be part of it, because there was a significant amount of volume at that point, but generally speaking, that's what occurred. Then obviously May 19th, which was the China candle. So, Raydium did pretty poorly for a little while, as most coins did, but it ramped back up as of, July 20th? Yeah, July 22nd. That's roughly when Bitcoin went sub 30,000 and came back up. So pretty significant increase. Now, Raydium took a pretty strong jump here on the 27th, 28th of August. And ever since then, it's been testing, probably reaching new, probably doing more so higher highs and higher lows for a while. State of consolidation. We had this sell-off from Bitcoin here, and then some. So let's just go ahead and mark the resistance, and let's see where we're at. So we're not quite there. We haven't broken the previous all-time high as far as when the 1-day chart closed. It has tested the high of 1631 almost 2 times in a row. Okay, keep in mind, the more often you test a resistance level, the more likely it is to break. So I'm never a proponent for buying into a coin that's this overextended, but I am a proponent for coins that are not only signaling a golden cross, but that have the attempts of breaking that resistance, right? So it's tried twice. Oh, actually, you could pretty much say 3 times. It's tried 3 times and got rejected. To me, the more often you test an all-time high, the more likely it is to break. I mean, it's the same with any resistance, but all-time highs have a tendency of being a little stronger at first. And then once they break hard, because a lot of shorts, if somebody has a short right now and they're setting up short positions, those will get squeezed out. And that will cause the price to ramp up even further. Now, the likelihood of people shorting Raydium at this point, I think, is pretty low, but there are still some circumstances. There's some crazy bonkers short sellers out there that just, they short dang near everything at resistance levels. So just pay attention that that's why resistance levels break fast, because of the short squeezes that occur. Not saying that's happening right now, but it could add to that. That's why it could shoot up from there. So taking a look here, we didn't quite have a convergence here, but it bounced. That's actually just as well. And then RSI has been steady over 70 for some time. And you can kind of see here that 70 on the RSI is working as a support level. Okay, so it's really cool to see. I don't know if you noticed this or if you've ever heard of this, but there's different channels within RSI, support and resistance levels. Anything over 50 and under 70 is considered kind of basically more bullish sentiment. Obviously, it's more on the overextended side when you're up over 70, but it creates itself as a support level. So right now, with this bullish trend that's occurring, 70 is a support. So, I think in order to kind of identify when there's a change in sentiment, as soon as the RSI breaks under 70 on the 1-day chart, we can see that it'll probably be a little bit more bearish sentiment, right? It'll be more of a trade-off. I don't foresee that happening. I think that Raydium is going to continue upwards, personally. I do think that with it testing its recent all-time high and the way that it's ramped up here so far, there's a great chance it'll continue. And just keep this in mind, regardless of all this stuff that I'm telling you here. If you're invested in this right now, move your stop loss up. Don't be greedy. I try to teach the fact that, diamond hands the devil's playground. I know it sounds weird and crazy, but it's true, right? I mean, obviously, idle hands the devil's playground. That's where it comes from. But I think if you're too greedy and you hold on for too long, you can just forfeit a lot of profit. There's nothing wrong with hodling, don't get me wrong, but when it comes to circumstances like this, just so you've made a lot and you bought the dip, you know, when Bitcoin is at 30,000, you got into Raydium at that time. Fantastic job, by the way, if you did. But either way, if you got in any point between here and just say $13, either A, take some of your profits, sell part of your position, and then wait for the price to maybe retrace a little bit and add to your position. Or maybe consider even doing something a little different, a little unorthodox, moving your support level or your stop loss higher to ensure you take profits if the price dips down, right? So me, I love moving my stop loss up as soon as I hit profit targets. So if your profit target was to hit $15 and you've already hit that, move your stop loss up to maybe just say the next major support level. In fact, why don't we go ahead and identify that really quick? It's obvious that this was tested 4 times and closed in a row. So I'd say about 1287 is a pretty close approximate of a major support level. So if you're going to move your stop loss up, just go right below that. Maybe go 1250 or $12 even. And sure, price comes down, you may get stopped out, yes, but you're going to take some profit, and that's the key. That's what being a trader is all about. It's not about holding on for the max gains and 10, 20, 30x like these other YouTubers out there. Take your damn profit while you still can. There's no doubt about the fact that if you're in the green, you want to protect your investment, right? Are you just going to leave $100 sitting out on your front porch for days on end? Or are you going to take that money in and maybe consider putting a smaller amount out there and letting that grow, right? I know it's a terrible analogy because money doesn't grow on the porch, but I think you get what I'm saying. It's crazy. Anyways, sorry, I'm going off on a tangent here. Let's move on to the 4-hour chart. So we can see the 50-day simple moving average working as support. This has nothing to do with it. It should have continued up to push the price up as it has been, based on the simple fact that this was the retracement from Bitcoin, okay? So keep that in mind. This major retracement here pushed the price down. All right. Furthermore, let's go ahead and see what the RSI and MACD are telling us. We're under 70 on the 4-hour chart. This is very similar, very normal. Basically, the 4-hour chart, 50 to 70 is the same thing as on the 1-day chart as 70 to 90. I wouldn't say the same thing, it's always a little different, don't get me wrong, but when you see this right here, that 70 is working as a resistance in the 4-hour chart, that's very healthy. That's a good sign. That basically just means it keeps testing that resistance level. It's going to probably break soon. But what's also nice, we want the RSI to calm down a little bit. That way the bulls aren't exhausted and there's a chance to push the price through that resistance level when it happens, okay? Furthermore, we've got a convergence on the MACD. I don't put a lot of weight into this here because obviously the price keeps testing a resistance level. And as we can see, we've got this nice little support and resistance zone here. Again, right about 1287, or you can round up, maybe say 1290 to upwards of 1525, okay? So we got this little channel here. It's gonna probably keep working itself into. Just keep in mind, there's a strong chance we're going to see some type of breakout to the upside if you kind of look at this here. Okay, now chances are we probably could actually even squeeze that out a little bit further. And the reason why I'm doing this is because this shouldn't matter right here. This shouldn't have happened. So this is kind of the natural progression. So a break to the upside for Raydium soon, I think it's very likely. That's just my personal opinion. Again, move up your stop loss. Heaven forbid this comes back down on us. There's some crazy sell-off, or Bitcoin goes sub 44,000. We might see Raydium sell off a little bit because it's obviously not impervious, right? If we can see here, what is this percent? 30%. Raydium sold off 30% when Bitcoin sold off 20%. Okay, keep that in mind. That's a 1.5x. Therefore, Bitcoin sells off again. Just say Bitcoin sells off 10%. We can expect maybe a 15% retracement on Raydium. All right. Again, just something to think about. Will that happen exactly? No, it's hard to say. But I would venture to guess that we're going to see a breakout to the upside soon. That'd be my guess. And if it doesn't break out to the upside, again, the likelihood of a breakout to the upside with this kind of momentum and this kind of ascending wedge pattern is usually around 70%. Could come down, don't get me wrong, but I think it's very likely that Raydium is going to continue to progress upwards. It may not blast through the resistance level, but it will probably come up and use that as a support level moving forward. That's the great thing about all-time highs. Once they're broken, they work as strong support levels. All right, let's just go ahead and wrap this up here. Sorry, I'm kind of going off on little tangents here. So let's go ahead and just identify quickly. We are above the cloud. Obviously, good good sentiment there. That's kind of helping work as a support. TD sequential should be signaling the fact that we're going to see a reversal soon. So this is a good thing. We're at a 6. So we've got 3 hours left of potential retracement. And what should happen from there should consolidate, test the resistance level again, and then likely eventually break. Okay. Again, the more often you test the resistance, the more likely it is to break. We've seen us tested it once, twice, 3 times, so to speak. Okay. 15-minute charts, not much to disseminate here, except for the fact that we are under EMA and VWAP. That's all well and good, because again, we test the resistance level and it's holding. But we've still got, again, this ascending wedge pattern plus the support of $12.90 to work in our favor. Okay, so heaven forbid it comes back down, it should likely bounce off that support level. Either A, bounce off the support, or work its way up on this trajectory here to kind of keep, stay in line with the 50-day simple moving average on the 4-hour chart. Okay, remember we looked at that? Simple moving average is working concurrent with this ascending wedge pattern. That's a very good sign. Usually those two things work together. Yep. And then furthermore, again, I don't put a lot of weight into this, but if we were to look at the simple moving average, we're essentially converging right now or soon to within the next 24 hours. So that could also push the price up as well. Again, I feel more so like it's speculatory to look at a golden cross as a catalyst, but I think that it is also relevant when you have a lot of other compounding factors, things like we've seen so far that are working in Raydium's favor. So to answer any of your questions, that's probably why you're here. My prediction is that Raydium will definitely break its all-time high. Will it be today? Maybe not. I feel like it should be in the next 24 to 48 hours, but again, it's still reliant on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin does poorly and it continues to break support levels and retrace, then it's going to be a different story for Raydium. It might lose its momentum and it might continue sideways in this channel between 1290 and 1525. Okay, but once that happens, once it breaks, there's a strong chance it'll come up. So just make sure you do yourself a favor if you're in the profit zone right now. You've hit your profit targets. Take some profit. Take 25 to 50% of your total investment and cash out, and then move up your stop loss. Right? That's how I do it every single time. Yes, there's truth in the sense that I get stopped out quite frequently. But what's the harm in getting stopped out when you've taken your profits? There's nothing worse than never taking your profits and losing all your gains than taking profits and seeing the price of the coin continue higher when you should have been in the first place. All right, there's different schools of thought. I'm more conservative and I am more calculated. That's why I have an 80% success rate. By the way, if you haven't already checked this out, link in the description below for my Patron account. Feel free to jump in there. I have a really good group of folks that's growing. I think we're closer to 50 members right now. And what it is basically a signal group where I send out all signals that I take, all the trades that I take as signals to my community members with entry targets, best practice, profit, sell targets, etc. In fact, the gentleman that actually requests that I cover this here today, basically what I think is Marlon, if I'm not mistaken, he asked that I went ahead and cover Raydium, and that's what I do. I actually help my community members understand and become more profitable. So check that out in your own time, of course. And again, thank you so much, Marlon, for the request. As per usual, I really do appreciate you. So moving forward, be careful, be cautious, set stop loss, set if nothing else, at least a sell limit order to ensure that you have something in place in case the price comes back down. But I think it's pretty safe to say that the price is going to work itself into this channel here, likely break to the upside in the near future. Just pay attention to Bitcoin, make sure you know what it's doing, because if Bitcoin can recover, Raydium will take off. If Bitcoin cannot recover, we'll probably see a little bit more sideways action than usual before it breaks to the upside. So I hope you have a great rest of your day. Have a good weekend and a fun, safe weekend. We'll talk to you later. Hope you have a good one. Thanks again for your time. We'll see you.